Whoa. Big reptile talk. Yeah, we working. Talk about service. Big reptile talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah, love that we got for them we think, yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles.
Yo, 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 welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk, the place where we bring people in the industry that base their lives around animals. We chop it up with them, see what they got going on. Before we get started, we're looking at everybody that's pulling up in the comments. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Six Gunner, Kara Shea, Bosa Balls, Guapame, Dominique, just everybody that's showing up in the comments. I appreciate you. But of course, before we get started, we got to pay some bills. So make sure you check out Venom-Proof Cages, some of the best cages on the market, especially if you keep venomous animals. Hit them up on Facebook, Instagram. Check out their cages. And if you do, tell them Derek sent you. Now, I'm excited today because today we have... What's up, Tim? What's up, Guapame? What is going on? Today we have icons, one half of a iconic group in the building. If you are, in the reptile hobby, you've heard of Tiki's Geckos. These guys are legendary. David and Manny, they produce some of the most amazing animals. So let's bring them on, talk to them. I'm excited to talk. Mr. Manny, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Good. How you doing today? Thank
I'm
you for
excited.
having me, by the way.
I'm great. I'm excited to talk to you, man. Now, before we talk about geckos, I want you to inspire people, and when I say that is, I want to time travel. What were you doing before you decided to say, I want to breed geckos for a living?
So I was actually going the route of college, and I was in Florida International down here in Miami, and I've always known I've wanted to do something with animals since I was a kid. I loved animals, so I was studying marine biology, and I actually did it all. I graduated with my bachelor's and all that, and then as I started working more with David and starting to breed stuff myself more, I really was like, I don't care. I got to do this for a living. I love this stuff. Like this makes me the happiest out of anything I've done. So it's like, I got to commit to this 100%. And then that's when me and David really went like 100% in. We got our, the first place that we had, we used to call Old H. Now we call Old HQ together. And then that's how it like really blossomed into what it is now.
Now, there's so many animals in the world, man. You could be breeding anything. So why geckos? What made you say, you know what? That's what we want to focus on.
Honestly, it's just we like them so much. That's what I always try to tell people. Like, focus on what you love, because then you'll never get tired of it. You'll never get burnt out. So many people we've seen over these years, like, just get into something because it does well, sells well, but then they get burnt out. But like the geckos, man, we love them, and they just happen to be such not just easygoing, easy to breed, They're honestly, in my opinion, the easiest beginner reptile of almost all of them, and they come in so many different colors, man. When I was a kid, I used to love Pokemon. I still love Pokemon. So it's like that. I really like that aspect of the crested geckos because they come in so many different colors, so many different patterns. It's like you got to have them all. And that's, kind of what I got from when I was a kid, loving Pokemon. I still got my Pokemon cards till this day. So it's like that's honestly why we chose crested geckos, and just because we love them so much.
I love that, man. I'm a Pokemon fan myself, man. Now, how does this make you feel? I'm going to show you this comment. Shout out to Boa Man Lizard Lover. He says, hello, Derek. Hello, Manny. I love my Tegu I got from Tiki's Geckos 2 years ago. How does that make you feel, knowing your animals are out there?
Oh, man, that melts my heart, especially the Tegus. That I think, as we were talking backstage, that's like a special place in my heart because, in my opinion, if I had to get rid of every animal and I could just keep one, it would have been my Tegus. Because they're like a dog. They were my favorite animals to interact with. And then, Unfortunately, we did have to get rid of ours because of these Florida laws, banning them. So that actually hits a real special place in my heart.
Right. Please, people. If Florida's taking a hit, make sure you support USARC. Now, I want to have fun, man. I want you to time travel again with me, man. Take me back to Deadpool, man. Now, this is a world's first. I want to say y'all produced Deadpool, right? So take me back to where Deadpool was just produced. How was you and David feeling?
So we actually didn't produce Deadpool. Deadpool was actually produced by Phil Tremper, and then a buddy of ours got him, right? And he's had this animal for years, and we always liked it. We were always interested in it. But then one day he's starting to get out of his geckos because he wanted to, I think, mainly focus on iguanas at the time. So we ended up buying most, if not all, of his geckos, and then Deadpool was one of them. And then when we got him is around when.
Where's Manny go? Where'd he go? Go back out, come back in. Go back out and come back in. Oh, so Tremper produced Deadpool? I didn't know that. I thought Tiki's Geckos produced Deadpool. Doesn't matter. They still icons. I'm sure they produced the world's first. Hey man, shout out to everybody in the building, man. Thank you for showing up. What is going on, Snakes for the Memories? What is up, Dominique? I appreciate y'all for showing up. What's up, Guapa, man? Much love, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm excited, man. We got Tiki's Geckos in the building. What's up, Manny, man? Now, you opening my eyes. So you said Tripper produced Deadpool? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he actually produces some crazy gargoyle geckos. He's shown us some. They're absolutely incredible. He's been breeding those things for a very, very, very long time. And I think where I left off was when we actually bought Deadpool from our buddy is when the movie came out. So that's why we ended up naming him Deadpool, because the movie, it was such a great movie too, and it's so red like Deadpool. So that's how that actually all came together.
Oh man, that's insane. I love that story, man. Because I want to say, what's his name? Ron Tremper, right?
No, yeah, there's Ron Tremper, but it's Philip Tremper.
Philip Tremper. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I thought that y'all produced that, man. But y'all still have some insane geckos, man. Now I gotta give you a hot seat question. You are in the reptile hobby. You breed some amazing animals. So just for fun, right now, who's your favorite breeder and what are they breeding?
Oh man, that's a that's a really tough question, because I have like a favorite breeder of like ball pythons, a favorite breeder of tegus, a favorite breeder of so many different animals. But one of my favorite breeders has got to be Ron St. Pierre, just because of the variety of animals that he works with. And we actually were there at his facility not that long ago, and I was absolutely blown away on how like he gives all these animals, like all these hard animals to breed to, like the lace monitors, and then even like the blue beauties, the Cuban Idols that are all blue. Like how he does everything so right for them, man. It's absolutely incredible. So he's definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Right. I actually know exactly who that is, man. I need to get him on my podcast. Look at the comments coming in. Dominique said, Manny.
Hey, Dominique. But you definitely got to get Ron St. Pierre, man. That guy's got so much knowledge. Every time we talk to him, we learn something. We learn so many new things every single time. That man's just full of knowledge. He's been doing it forever.
Right. Now I want to show you a picture, man, because this right here, this gecko, this gecko makes me a fan of Tiki's Geckos for sure. Now talk about this gecko right here.
Oh, the Super Dalmatian. Yeah, everybody loves the Super Dalmatian. It's one of the most, in my opinion, iconic crested gecko morphs. And They're great, man. They're something that we're really starting to ramp up with, producing a lot more super tiles, and then every generation making them better and better and better.
Now, see, geckos like that is why you are a legend, man. Now, you produce just amazing geckos. So, give me your opinion. For gecko breeders out there that want to follow in Tiki's Gecko's footsteps. What do you think? Gecko wise, what is going to be like the wave for 2023? What are projects people should get in gecko wise for next year?
Definitely the frappuccinos, in my opinion. So that's a lily white with a cappuccino, and the potential for those animals is there's no limit, because like both of those genes are working very well together, and you get some amazing combination of animals, crazy contrast. It whacks out the patterns very nice. So I think that's gonna be the next like big thing. I mean, it is a big thing now, but I think it's gonna overtake everything else, in my opinion. Obviously, you got the Xanthics, the super caps, but I just think the potential is highest for the frappuccinos.
Hey, I hear this. This is knowledge. Next year, you better get into the Frappuccino projects. It sounds amazing. If you're a gecko breeder, you better look into it, man. Now, what are you and David currently working on right now? Talk about some of your current projects.
Well, we have a lot of projects, but sticking with like the New Caledonian geckos, just ramping up production, because just we're trying to produce more and more geckos every year. But I think we're gonna really focus on, like I was telling you, the frappuccinos, lily white combos. Just that's gonna be the main focus for the crested geckos. Obviously, we're still going to produce a lot of super Dalmatian, everything for everyone. We have a lot of animals, so we're going to be producing a lot of different animals, a lot of different morphs. But like I was telling you before, I think the frappuccinos are going to be, and they're going to keep getting like the most amazing crested geckos, in my opinion.
I love that. I love that, man. Now, how long have y'all been breeding, if you don't mind me asking? How long have you and David been breeding together?
So I've been breeding since like 2011. So almost like over a decade now. David's been doing it since we were in high school. So he's got a few years on me. He's probably got 4 years, 5 years on me. But yeah, so like, and then like as a real business, like around a decade. So
That
a
is
long
it.
time, man. A long time.
Your career has been incredible when it comes to the gecko game. Now I got a question. Tell me, at what point in your career did you say, "Oh shit, we own something"?
Probably like around the time I told you that we were looking for our first property for the animals, because we just outgrew a lot of the stuff was in his mom's garage. We had stuff in my backyard, even in my room. And like when we were starting like to grow out of that, the social media started getting really big, and that's when we were like, oh, like we need to expand, because this is something that we're gonna take serious, and this is what we're gonna do for a living. Like, because for a while, like I had a job, he had a job, so we would after the job come home after a long day and then do all the animal stuff. But once we dedicated full time 100%, got that property for the animals, that's when everything's really started blowing up, and that was probably like 5 years ago now.
That is inspiration. Y'all heard that? Stop your job, put 100% into it, and you're gonna blow up.
Yeah, exactly. Like once you start putting 100% effort, pushing out content, working with more animals and all that, like it just started taking off.
I love it, man. I
So
love it. I love it. Now I want to have a little fun, and then we'll talk some more about the geckos. I feel like you're an icon, and I don't know if you're a wrestling fan. Listen. I'm tell you something. I'm a wrestling fan. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but I feel like you're an icon. And all the icons in wrestling have their own entrance music. When I say Stone Cold Steve Austin, y'all know the entrance music. Y'all hear that glass breaking and him running down. Or even like The Rock. The Rock has that entrance music. So my question to you is, when Manny walks in the room, what song is playing as his entrance music?
yes, it's some really hard questions, man. But This is stuff I've never even thought of before. I was actually a Kane fan, by the way. Kane was my favorite. But if I would have to walk out to something, it would have to be like either something from J. Cole or Eminem, because those two are my favorites. Maybe, I actually used to wrestle back in high school, and every time before, I would listen to my headphones before a match, getting hyped up, Lose Yourself by Eminem. Because
There
that
it
just
is.
gets me motivated, it gets me focused, it gets me ready to go, ready to hurt someone.
Hey, hey,
Right
when, hey,
before a match.
hey, I gotta interrupt you. When you so tomorrow, I want you to when you walk into the Gecko house, whip your phone out and play Lose Yourself and walk in like, yeah,
Oh,
let's do this shit.
no, they're not ready for that. They're not ready for that.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, my podcast, I like to have fun, and I also want newer breeders to be able to come here and learn and take something away from it. I feel like y'all are killing it in the game. So give new gecko breeders some advice. And what I say by that is, what are some tips that newer gecko breeders could use to level up?
Well, the most important thing, especially in this day and age, to level up is work on your social media and be on all of them: Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Get on all of those, keep grinding out content. Post YouTube shorts, little like Instagram shorts, reels. Just keep pumping out content, because that's free marketing. And that's the best kind of marketing that there is, especially in this day and age. And that's where people really get to know you, who you are, what you work with. And there's no way we'd be in the position we were if we weren't so successful with our social media.
Right. Great advice. I agree. Social media is big in this day and age. And since we're talking about, so we'll go back to the geckos, but since we're talking about social media, I gotta ask. This is like a two-part question. And I want you to flex. So how does it feel? You gotta. I don't want nothing humble. You gotta flex. How does
I'm
it
about to
feel
tell you,
having a
lose yourself, man, just so I get all hype and ready.
I want to know, how does it feel? Tiki's Geckos, this is a business. How does it feel having 100,000? It's two-part question. How does this feel, having 100,000 followers on Instagram, want to see what you guys are working on? And not just that, because y'all lost it all for a second there and y'all got it back. So I want to know what was going through you and David's mind when all of a sudden your Instagram account was gone, and how did it feel when you were able to get it back?
It was extremely stressful, because not only did we work many, many years to build that following organically like we did, we also do get a lot of exposure and business out of it. So it is very, very stressful when, this is how you make a living. So, we do have to sell animals. We do have to, all of that. So it's like, it was really stressful when that got cut off. Something we learned from that, which is very important: have multiple streams, not just Instagram. Because if you only have Instagram, and then that gets taken away from you, like it did for us for a while, you're screwed. So, and that's happened to many people with their Facebook pages. Like, they only had Facebook and they would sell animals in Facebook, and then Facebook takes it down, and now you're struggling. So it's very important to have multiple streams. That's why it's so, like I said, it's so important to not just have Instagram, not just have Facebook, to have them all. And then, you know what? Have multiple accounts of the same, like multiple Instagram accounts, like just in case something happens. That's why we're keeping Tiki's Geckos 2.0, and we're going to keep pushing content on Tiki's Geckos 2.0.
I love that. I love that, man. So humble. He lost it. He got it back. Now, definitely, you got to answer the first part. And I want you to flex. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I got 15,000 subscribers on YouTube. 15,000. And I'm gonna tell my wife, once I hit 20,000 subscribers, I'm famous. I'm not taking out the trash anymore. There is no more trash getting took out. You got to figure out how we're gonna get the trash outside. So, answer that question. How does that feel having 100,000 people want to see what you got going on?
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. It feels pretty cool, especially when you meet people in person and they're like, "Hey, I love your YouTube. I love your Instagram. It's very cool. It's very humbling. I never let it get to my head. I'm not that type of person to let it get to my head. And honestly, like seeing that that we have 100,000 makes me want to get more. Like, how do we get more? How do we get to 120, 130, 150, 200? You know, so it feels really good. That's pretty cool. Like to have that many people interested in what you're doing. It is cool.
I love that. Y'all hear that, man? He's very humble. But if I get 100,000, I'm not being humble. I'm famous. Talk to my assistant.
Yeah, right. No, I'll never. I
I
don't know.
love
I
it,
don't have
man.
that bone in my body.
I
We still
love it.
answer phone calls. We still like interact with people. It's funny because a lot of times, like, well, somebody will call, have some questions, and they'll talk directly to me or David, and they're like, "Oh, I'm surprised. I'm shocked you guys are like, answering these questions." Like, it's just how we are. We're just, I don't want to. We are humble. We are
I
humble
love
people,
it.
thankfully, and we don't let it get to our head. But it's still very cool. It's still
Right,
really
right,
cool.
right. Shout out to Boy, man. He said, man, he's a great guy. Now, I want to ask, give us, give me your idea, and because like I said, I do want newer gecko breeders to be able to come here and learn. So why do you think a lot of newer gecko breeders come on the scene and don't necessarily make it as big as you guys?
To be honest, there's a couple reasons. Like I was telling you before, they don't have the passion for maybe that individual species. They're just getting into something that's popular. No, you got to get into stuff that you like, or else you will burn out in a couple years and you won't be successful. Another thing is they're not putting themselves out there with social media. They're, a little shy or don't want to post content. And it's like, you gotta post content. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta expose yourself. You got, like, in the beginning, we would do a lot of shows, we would post like during the show, everything. So it's like, we're not like we're not the most outgoing people. Obviously, we have to be for the camera, for social media. Especially David, he's a little bit more reserved when he like meets a random person. But like man, it's when we first used to film these videos, we used to have so many outtakes because we would mess up all the time. Because you could be talking fine, and then in the moment you're faced on camera, you're getting filmed, you start freaking out, you start panicking. But the more you do it, the better you get, and the more comfortable you get with it. And you just gotta keep posting content, man. That's very, very important. I can't stress that enough. You gotta people gotta, like, you just gotta keep posting content, because the more content you post, the most exposure you get, and the more, eventually the more popular you are gonna get.
Right, right, right. I love that. I love that, man. Now, you work with so many amazing animals, but right now I want to focus on the gecko part of it. There's so many geckos, crested geckos, leopard geckos, crocodile geckos, and all kind of amazing animals out there. Currently, right now, gecko wise, what is your favorite right now that you're working with?
Right now, I got the biggest bug for day geckos. And then I work with a bunch of different species right now, but I just love them. If they were handleable, I think they would be the most popular gecko in the whole world, hands down. They're bright, vibrant, big. They're small species. They're very colorful, very variable, and very interactive. Like the crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, Lichianus, Chahua, they're not the most interactive. They'll tolerate you handling them, but they're not really gonna come up to you. Like the day geckos, I come up there with a little bit of Pangea on my hand. They'll come up to me and lick it and eat it off my hand. They're out in the day. They're bold geckos. But it's the second you go and try to handle them, they just turn around like, nah, you ain't doing this. But
now,
I
now,
am obsessed with them right now.
I love day geckos too, and I need to give me a couple now. And I want to ask you a question. I feel like I feel like Tiki's geckos, underground reptiles. I feel like y'all got a cheat code, and when I say that, I'm gonna tell you what I mean. Like this is a cheat code because you breed geckos, but you're in Florida and there's thousands of geckos just walking around. So I feel like y'all can catch a lot of them. Y'all ain't got to really breed a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we are blessed being in Florida because we can keep so many different animals outside, from all those iguanas, all the all of our day geckos are housed outdoors literally all year round. So it is nice. But as in, like, the only thing is the animals that you can catch in the wild, people don't really care for too much, because people just collect them in mass in Florida. So people don't really care. So most of those animals that you see out there, most people don't really care about. And then everything we can work with, everything that can go outside goes outside, because there's nothing, like, no UVB bulb. I don't care what brand or company it's from, it's never gonna beat the stuff that the sun gives it.
Right. Now, this is for newer people getting into the game, getting into the hobby. What's your take on it? What do you think is better, wild caught, or give me your opinion on wild caught geckos versus captive bred?
Okay, so I obviously think if you're new to the hobby, stick with captive bred, because I always recommend wild caught for more experienced people, because a lot of times these animals can come with diseases, parasites, and other problems. So, and a lot of times they will come with that. Now, wild caught animals, like, a lot of people are like, put a bad name on them, but they're actually very important, because you do need the genetic diversity in these animals. And I've noticed, in especially some species like chameleons, they don't do very well too many generations captive bred. The clutches get smaller, the animals get weaker, the individual animals get smaller too. And then when you mix that back to a wild caught animal, it just fixes a lot of times, all those problems. So it is very important, in my opinion, to be able to access these wild caught animals for breeding purposes for long term. Then there's animals like crested geckos, they tolerate it very well. Like, they do, as you can see, multiple generations of captive bred, and there's no problems with it. But there's other animals that do need that wild caught blood. That's why I think it is important. Obviously, we do need to get better on how they're collected, how they're maintained at the collectors, how they're imported, because that stuff is not always the best the way they do, because a lot of times it's done cheaply, and then that the animals can suffer in that way. But I think wild caught animals do play their role, and it's a very important role.
So when it comes to the geckos, the wild caught is needed. Okay, that is just
Yeah,
so good to know.
yeah, yeah. It's like I said, like, I see it breeding these animals. I can see it, like, generation. Like, like I said, some species are more affected by it than others, but it is very, very important for breeding. But if you're, like I said, if you're a first time owner, you're a beginner, stick with captive bred. Like, I know the wild caught animal is going to be cheaper, but it's going to cost you less in vet bills. It's much more likely to succeed, like, and especially with beginners, because you don't develop an eye. Like, there's certain things I look for in wild caught chameleons that many people won't even notice. Like I could tell you a chameleon might be sick just by the strength of its grip, or just because it, like, blinks its eye a little bit. Those are little things that the the normal person doesn't notice. So that's why, if you're a beginner or you're not very experienced, captive bred. If you're breeding, it is, and if you do want to have wild caught, does play an important role.
Right. I love that. Now, you obviously have been keeping geckos for a long time. So give me your opinion on, when you're keeping geckos, bioactive, yes or no?
It depends on the gecko. A lot of this stuff varies per species. Crested geckos don't need it, but if you have it, beautiful. There's other animals that will do much better in bioactive, like the crocodile skinks, for example. They do way better when it's like a bioactive setup.
Right.
So you don't need, if you have a couple, I always recommend, make it as nice as possible. If you have a couple geckos, obviously if you're breeding mass like we are, it's very tough to give every single breeding group bioactive. It's hard to clean. It gets heavy. It gets very expensive. So it depends on the species, and it depends on the quantity of animals that you have or you want to have.
Right. Good, great. You just giving us that knowledge, man. Now I tell you, I I I, I refuse to do bioactive. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm still in disbelief. Some of the prices these people are charging for these isopods. And one time
Yes.
somebody told me, it was like, and this is before I even knew what isopods were, the scientific name. And when I seen them, I said, "You charging that much for roly polies?" And it was like, "Yes." I said, "Oh, I'm never buying that. I can go outside and get them for free." I,
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of those too just outside, so we're a little lucky. But yeah, I mean, it's market and stuff, so it's,
right.
yeah, some of those isopods, man, can get real pricey, and I'm like, eh. But
I,
like I said, if you have one or two crested geckos or whatever you have, like, sure, hook it up.
I,
But like in mass, like we do, like, that's real expensive and hard to do, and yeah.
right. I agree. Now I gotta ask, you know, I'll come back to that question. I want to show this picture. Now this is a flex right here. I couldn't make it bigger, but this is a flex. This was, we're in the month of November. Last November, in one shipment, over 100 packages. So I got to ask you, how did that feel on Thanksgiving, sending out 100 packs, man? How did that feel?
Oh man, it felt great. It's a great feeling just knowing that that many people want your animals, you know. It's a lot of work, so it is a lot of stress. We did have to start packing way earlier than we normally do. We're still a very small operation. It's just me, David, Daniela, Nico. That's really it. So we're still a very small operation with a lot of animals. So it is very stressful, but it's also very satisfying.
Man, let me send out 100 snakes in one day. I am a famous snake breeder. Don't talk to me. I love it, man. Now you have, when it comes to the geckos and other animals, you have so much knowledge, And I gotta ask, do you feel like you were self-taught, or did you feel like you had a mentor when you were trying to learn about the animals?
Definitely both. So I for sure got like mentored with like the blue tongue skinks and some other and like the thing is we've been in this, we've been doing this for a while now. We actually have a lot of connections for different species, people who specialize in different animals. So whenever we have a problem, we'll have a conversation with someone, or whenever like I'm getting something I'm not really sure about, I'll go to that person. Like for example, Euromastics. I'm going to my boy Philip Leeds, who's the Euromastics guru. So we do get a lot of help, but a lot of these animals are also very similar. Like geckos for the most part are very similar in care, most geckos. So like you have an idea of how to take care of it, how to raise it, how to breed it, but there's gets to like the little niches and stuff that you do need help, and we do get help. Thankfully, we have a lot of we know a lot of knowledgeable people in a bunch of different animals, so they do help us out. So it's both. A lot of it, and you do learn a lot from just working with the animals, just working with them so long. You pick up a lot of stuff that maybe somebody else didn't tell you about, or they didn't know about. You learn a lot of stuff as you go too. So it's both definitely self-taught, but definitely we get a lot of help from a lot of good friends that we have that work with so many amazing animals.
Right. I love it, man. I feel like we definitely need people like you and David, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, I gotta block that. That's a bot in the chat. We need people like you to breed geckos, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, one time and this is my podcast, I say what I want, I don't care. One time I seen geckos breeding, and I was like, this low key looks like rape. It scared me. He grabbed the back of the female's neck, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it is. It's not like snakes breeding, man. If you're freaked out by crested geckos breeding, you should see blue tongue skinks breeding. That's rape. That's very aggressive. I literally during breeding season, I literally have to sit there with the stick and watch them. That's how aggressive, because they can rip arms off. They could kill each other if you leave them in there. Like it's lizard. Yeah, man. Lizards. It's not like snakes. It's not like ball pythons or any of that. Just cuddling together. Like nah. It's aggressive.
I seen him breeding one time. I said, "What is this?" I thought I was watching Law and Order SVU. I was like,
Special Victims Unit's about to.
I was like, so we definitely need people like you, man. Now, I gotta ask. I want to have a little fun, man. You are icons, and I've asked this to Justin Gabelka. I've asked this to Brian Barczyk, Jay Brewer. I've asked a lot of people this question just to have a little fun. So Tiki's Geckos. I want y'all to compare yourself to a store. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say I'm going to buy a ball python from Ozzy. Ozzy will tell you he's a designer ball python maker, and if you were to buy from him and compare him to a store, you're shopping at Gucci. If you're Jessica Belka is the Louis Vuitton of ball python. So
right.
Gecko wise, compare yourself to a store. What is Tiki's Geckos?
Man. Yeah, you have some good questions, man. I like your questions. I would say maybe like because we do produce a lot of pet animals, man, because that's where we come from. Like we weren't wealthy or anything, so we started with like low end crested geckos, buckskins. So we produce a lot of normal stuff, but we also do a lot of very high end stuff, as you know.
Yep.
So what's like a store that does both? It's got to be something that does both, because we do maybe like I actually don't know my clothing, man. I don't know my fashion.
You don't know the
So
fashion? Like, what about
I don't know my
like
fashion, man.
like Da
I wear
Vinci?
animal shirts. This is what I wear. I wear Tiki's geckos. I wear my friends, animal t-shirts. This is what I wear, man. I don't even think I've ever bought anything from Gucci or any of those like places because
Oh, well,
I'm a simple man. So like I just like my animal shirts.
oh, well, somebody ever asked you that? If they say, well, if I compare yourself to a store, this is what you say. You say, "What's up, deranged man? Much love, brother." If this is what you say, if you're shopping at Tiki's Geckos, you can compare us to. Let me see. Let me think of a good store. I
Something
say
that's
like a.
good quality and like but like doesn't always break the bank. We have high-end stuff, don't get me wrong, you've seen it. We
What
have
about
some very our gargoyle, our red stripes, our Deadpool line, like that stuff is very high-end. That's Gucci.
what
That's
about Louis
Gucci.
V?
Louis V, sure, man. I don't know if they're on the same level or not. Like I said, I'm not the craziest for fashion. Um, but that stuff is very high end. We have some very high end crested geckos, but we also do a lot of just quality animals, but like more like for the person getting their first pet, like under $100 and stuff. So we
I,
do both, man. We're hybrids, all right. We're
I,
we're Louis Vuitton mixed with like Macy's, we're both.
there you go. There you go. You like a Macy's Louis.
There you go. We got a
Half and
little Louis
half.
section if you guys want it. And then we also got Macy's, good quality.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, I want you to give us some tips, man. And like I said, I won't keep you too long because you are on the road, you're in your car.
Mhm.
You gave us almost an amazing 40 minutes, but I got a few more questions. Now, what would you do? And this is for like a lot of people that want to breed and follow in your footsteps. What are some of the things that you can do for geckos that just won't breed? Like if you have a female or a male that won't breed, what's some of the tips you give people?
You get rid of them. No, I'm just kidding. It just it just depends on there could be a lot of factors. Sometimes a male and a female aren't really compatible and they don't produce well. So you switch them, you'll switch partners, see if that works out better. Also, make sure, you're giving her a varied diet because sometimes the diet does play a big role on egg production, how much they produce. If an animal's, starting to, because sometimes the calcium, all the production of eggs will take a toll on their calcium storage. So you gotta, make sure they're good in health, make sure they have their calcium, make sure. And then, like I said, if the partners don't work out, try a different one. Keep flipping stuff around, pairing stuff up different times of the year. Just see what works. And then if that doesn't work, you just get rid of them.
I love it, man. Now, newer gecko breeders coming into the game. Do you feel like for them to be successful, do you feel like they should breed their own crickets, or you think they could be successful without doing that?
I hate breeding bugs. So I'll tell I hate, man. We just order our bugs and that's it because it's there, especially crickets too much. But with crested geckos, you really don't need too many bugs. So just you're gonna be good with your Pangeas, your Rapashis, and then but for breeding, it is important to give them some crickets with calcium. But it's not to the point where you need to breed your own. You could just get, I mean, depending on how many geckos you have, like a box of 1,000 crickets once a week is going to cover a lot of geckos. So with them, thankful, and that's one reason I really like them so much is because they're not so bug heavy, which is nice, But just for crested geckos, just buy the crickets. Don't, unless you like breeding crickets, man. I hate bugs. I hate breeding them. That's not for me. So I buy them.
Right, right, right. I love it. I love it, man. Now, I gotta ask, do you see yourself staying in Florida? The laws are so strict down there. USARC is just, they're fighting for us, but Florida's getting hit hard.
Yeah.
Georgia just got hit hard. If they keep pounding away at Florida, do you ever see yourself moving your company out of Florida?
We've actually talked about this. We've talked about maybe, if it comes to it, Texas, something like that. But to be honest, I don't want to leave Florida. I'm born and raised here. Like I want to die here. Like I want to live my whole, like I've been to different countries, different states. For me, there's nothing like Florida. I love it, especially South Florida, man. For what I love fishing, outdoors, water stuff. Like, so it's perfect for me, man. And the weather, I can't handle it cold. Like it gets below 70 and I'm like, oh man, I gotta get a jacket. But so I really don't want to leave Florida, even if with the bands, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever really be able to leave South Florida. I love it too much. This is my home. I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
Right. Florida is an amazing place, man. Now, I got three more questions. Like I said, I know you're on the road. I won't keep you too long. So three more questions. For newer breeders getting into the game, man, and I don't know if this is for all geckos, but because I'm still learning myself. But what is a good, breeding wise? When does Tiki geckos start their season and end their season? What's a good time to breed your geckos and then to stop breeding? Or do you just breed year round nonstop?
For the most part, they breed year round. But like right now, we are starting to pair up new groups. I like to pair up the groups during the cooler months. Why? Because they tend to fight less because it's cooler out. They're not as, I mean, not that they slow down a bit, so they're not as aggressive towards each other. Crested geckos, for the most part, you put them together, they're gonna be fine and breed, but they can still get nasty with each other. You can lose tails, you can, lose toes, you can, so the best luck we have is pairing them up in the wintertime, the cooler months, in a new neutral enclosure. So there's not much territory. Make sure they have a lot of hides, a lot of visual barriers. So again, if they want to escape each other, they can. And then we're, like I said, so we're pairing them up now, and then they'll be together until next year. And then the females will just produce eggs, and then they'll stop on their own. So we really don't like separate the males. Like, oh, this girl gave 3 clutches, now we're gonna separate. Like, no, we keep them together all year round. And then, like I said, we make new groups in the winter time.
There you go. Y'all heard that. These are tips for you to be successful when it comes to gecko breeding. That's why we have Manny in the building. I'm so appreciative. Now, second to last question. Now, this is just to have a little fun, and I'm not trying to be in your personal business, but I'm asking anyway. It's my podcast. I don't care. I'm asking. Now, you had a job. You're not doing that no more. You are breeding this. You are doing this gecko shit, these animal shit, full time. Now, I gotta ask. Just for shits and giggles, when you actually when you were actually profitable, when Tiki's Geckos was profitable, you made enough money to pay yourself, you celebrating, what was that first thing you bought yourself to be like, you know what, I'm my own boss, I'm buying it, I'm getting it for myself? What was that first thing you went out and got yourself?
It's so funny because you're probably going to laugh. It was more animals. Like stuff that yeah, because that's what we like. So it's like now we can buy like a rare species, just a pair, just to have, nothing that we're gonna get too crazy in breeding. So it'd just be more animals, like more like almost pet like animals. That's how I spoil myself, man. I don't buy Gucci. I don't buy any of that stuff. I just spend more money. I really like this pair of really rare lizards. I'm gonna get one now because I can.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. That's why you're successful now, because you made a fat check and you reinvested in your business. That just shows that not just only are you smart, you're business savvy, man. So just keep doing your thing, man. I love it.
Thank you.
Now,
I don't even think it was like I didn't even think about it like a business. I was just like, I really want this, so now I can get this lizard.
I love that. I
This
love
is
that.
how I thought about it.
Well, you gave us an amazing 45 minutes. Hopefully I can get you on again down the road. Hope you had a good time for round 2. But to end it, I want to have a little fun, and this is for you and David. Y'all have been partners for years. So my question to you is, reptile related, what's the best gift he ever got you for Christmas? Because he's your business partner.
It's funny, we really don't give each other gifts.
Oh, you
We
need to
really
get rid of
don't,
him.
because yeah, I mean, no, it's just how we are. Like he's my brother, he's more than a friend. He's my brother, and we actually have a group of like 4 or 7 of us that are brothers, and we really don't get each other much. Our company is our gift to each other.
No. Listen,
I'm being serious. Like
no.
I think the last thing he kind of gave me was like, cause I do like to play video games, so he gave me like an Xbox controller, and I gave him a Link hat because he likes Link. He loves Zelda and all that stuff. So I gave him like a hat. We really don't get each other much, man. We just give each other love. All right, that's all. That's all we need to give each other.
I can't hate on that, but man, I gotta interrupt you, dog. Let me tell you something. If I'm your business partner, dog, we gritting, you know what I would get you if it was Christmas? You know what I'd get you? I'd be like, I'm a flex. I like the flex. I'm a big flexer. You know what I'm like, man, look what I got you for Christmas. You open that mug up, it'd be a big ass gecko with all diamonds and a chain and shit. A big slick Rick chain.
I think I need to change business partners, man. I think we need you got to trade places with David.
Yeah, you gotta be a flexer, man. You like next time I see you, I need to see a big chain with a gecko around your neck with diamonds.
That's so funny, man, because I'm not like that. Like, I have a chain on right now, and it just stays under. And it's a little gold chain. It's just tiny. And this was a gift, and it's like, I don't know. And I hide it. I don't even flex. I don't know. I'm not a flexer, but if you're going to get me that diamond chain, you could trade places with David. I'll fly you out here, and then he can go over there.
Man, Manny, I appreciate it, man. You gave us almost an amazing hour. I appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. I want to play my outro and just thank you again backstage. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hey,
for sure,
everybody
man.
in the chat, man, this was. I'm gonna let you say that. Just everybody in the chat, man, thank you for showing up. It was such a fun podcast. We got tips on how to breed geckos, when to start your season, what are the best projects to get into. He gave us a lot of knowledge, and we had a lot of fun along the way. That's what Big Reptile Talk is about. Manny, I just want to say thank you and let you tell anybody if you want to say anything right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, thank you for having me on. It's fun, man. You have some really good questions. Whenever you want me back on, it'll be an absolute pleasure. I'll do it 100%. Thanks to your audience for wanting me on, and I'm glad I finally got to talk to you, man. I feel like I've followed you for a while, and we just never really talked, especially not like this. And it's been fun, man. You seem like a really, really cool guy, and if we're ever in the same place, we definitely got to get a drink and hang out.
I'm coming to Florida, man. I need to see them geckos,
Woo!
man. I appreciate you, man. Hey, round 2's coming soon, y'all. Tiki's geckos, man. Manny, David, they killing it. Don't go nowhere. I want to play my outro and just thank you again backstage, okay? Super, super fun podcast, man. Tune in next time. We bring in just amazing guests. This is Big Reptile Talk. Until next time, man, we out of here. You know what it is, man.
Whoa. Big Reptile Talk.